This Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey condemns attack on EPA team clamping down on Shangfan manufacturing sites in the Ashanti region.
Also this hour, Member of Parliament for Wa West, Peter Tobu, ignites conversation for the states to buy a new presidential jet.
Well, at the mention of the president, he has donated leave items to Jamaica and Cuba recently hit by Hurricane Melissa.
It's News Central live on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor.
And I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Agency has been recounting events that led to the attack on her entourage and subsequent accident involving the media team. Speaking on Ghana Tonight, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche said intelligence from Accra encouraged the team to abandon the exercise to close down some Shangfan manufacturing shops in the enclave.
To close down some other shops. On our way near Obuasi, we saw people on the ground, the Galamsey happening on the ground. So we decided to have a look at what they were doing. When we stopped and walked into the area, in fact, where they actually mining, they have access routes, so we had to stop by the roadside and walk to the ground, the field where they are mining. So as we were going closer, they were running away, and they did, all of them left by the time we got there. So we looked around what we could pick, we did pick. Whilst leaving, we saw that there were actually more of the excavators, 3 of the excavators that is inside a river body.
Inside?
So, river body. So in fact, they had mined in the river body and blocked the river in such a way that it has taken different tributaries around the area and flooded some places. It's messy. It was really a bad situation. So we actually went to the car and used another route to the place. And whilst there, the people also ran. We called them to come, and then just before we could even have a conversation, they had sent news around, and so we saw built men, a number of them came with guns. We had the military with us anyway, and the national security also were with us. But then we saw that we couldn't exchange fire, so we could not fight them. So we had to run for our lives. So in the course of we running, speeding on the road, we encountered this accident. So one of the cars, which had some EPA staff and some of the journalists, had a head-on collision with a truck that is actually carrying some pipes for Galamsey, these Galamsey operations. Some of them were dressed in black, like complete black from top to down. And some of them were wearing vests like this with CID written at the back. We asked them, in fact, the soldiers, the national security men, asked them of their ID card and stuff like that. So it was becoming confrontational. And then we had to leave because we couldn't, they said they cannot overpower them, so we had to leave. They had their arms, but we didn't. Of course, EPA doesn't. We didn't have, so we had to run. Whilst they were having the confrontation, we got intel. So I got a phone call from Accra that we should leave immediately where we are, and that even the route we plan to take, we should not use it again, and we should not return on the same route we came from Kumasi to Obuasi. So we had to use another route altogether, much longer through central region, through western region, and then back to Kumasi, but just before we reached Kumasi is when we had a head-on collision.
Let's have a quick chat with our Ashanti region correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who himself came under attack while traveling with the EPA. Ibrahim, first off, how are you doing? Well, Ibrahim, if you can hear me, I'm asking how you're doing.
Well, Kemini, for now, I'll say I'm doing better than yesterday. Just having some minor chest pains, but unfortunately, among those of us who were detained at the hospital, I have been discharged. The others are still receiving medical treatment, and the doctors want to monitor their situation before they take further decisions on what to do with.
Ibrahim, what happened to you?
So, Kemini, the Environmental Protection Agency officials were in Kumasi on Wednesday to conduct an operation. So, it's in the fight against illegal mining, but they wanted to take a different dimension. So, the initial plan was that they are going to arrest and close shops that are selling mining equipment without license, these champagne machines and other things, because these are the things that are mostly used at the illegal mining site. So on Wednesday, we started with the operation, arrested some people, closed down 19 shops. Then on Thursday, which was yesterday, we decided to continue with the operation. So when we got to Obuasi Junction, we decided to split in two. Our team moved ahead. But on our way to where they are selling these items, we then saw some illegal miners mining within a water body. And the officials, together with the media, decided that we will go and see whatever activity that they are undertaking there. When we got there, some of them left the scene, others too were around. So we decided to seize the items there or the equipment. And gradually, some of them started massing up before we realized they have taken over us, they have surrounded us, and tempers were flaring. They were saying they will not allow us to move an inch, and this is what they have been doing to earn livelihood, and for that matter, we should leave. Then others also started throwing stones. So we had to retreat and be able to protect ourselves. So we all joined our vehicles, they were throwing stones, and we left. So instead of returning to use the Obuasi route to Kumasi, we rather had to go and use a longer route, which was we had to pass through Central Region to Western North, back to the BNE, then to Kumasi. And that was when, because the vehicle was also at a top speed, and we didn't know whether they were chasing us. We had intel that they will ambush us. So we were on the top speed, and unfortunately, our driver veered off his lane, joined the other lane. Then there was another oncoming truck that collided with ours. So that was how come we were involved in an accident.
I see. Ibrahim, how many other journalists were injured in this incident?
So we were 7 in the vehicle, 5 journalists. But as I speak to you, the one who was in critical condition, he is a multimedia cameraman. He was transferred to Konfanochi Teaching Hospital yesterday, and he is being operated on. He had his right thigh fractured, and also some legs, the bones fractured. So as we speak, they are conducting a surgery on him, and we are hoping that everything will be successful. For those of us who are at the Afari Community Hospital, we are all in very stable condition. But among the 4 of us, I'm the one who has been discharged. The other 3 are still being monitored by the medical officers to ensure that they are safe and out of danger before they also be discharged.
Ibrahim, reflecting on this incident that led to the accident, right? How does it make you feel as a journalist?
Well, Kemini is quite traumatic, especially when the miners surrounded us and they started tossing stones. But for us as journalists, I believe that this wouldn't deter us from still talking about illegal mining, because if we decide not to talk about it and they end up polluting our water bodies and the environment, we will still have to die one way or the other. So it's quite traumatic, because I can tell you a colleague with Channel 1, as we speak, she's still traumatized. She's not herself. She's not able to do any major activity. So you could see the level of trauma, but we will still hold the fort and make sure that we'll all try to play our role in the fight against illegal mining.
Ibrahim, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. He's one of 5 journalists who were involved in the accident. Prior to that, they were victims to attack in Afari in the Ashanti region because they traveled with the EPA to check Galamsey or clamp down on Galamsey in that community. Let's stay on the subject. Senyor Hosi is a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. He joins us via Zoom for a quick chat on this. Senyor, this incident, what does it tell us?
It's a very depressing story. It tells us that we are losing our country day by day. Our statehood is at risk. It's not just our environmental bodies that are at risk. If officers of the state, appointees of government, representing His Excellency the President, representing the Commander-in-Chief of this country, cannot even access parts of this country under his directive, because those places have now been taken over by effectively militias and are taking illegal and irresponsible activities. I think this thing has just gone beyond normal. It's not just an everyday matter to resolve. And people should stop talking about jobs. It's not a job problem. Let's get it clear. Galamseyers are making 3,000 to 10,000 cedis a week. Those boys in the pit. Tell me how many jobs in Ghana, white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, tell me how many of them can actually earn 3,000 to 10,000 cedis a week. How many people in your company earn 3,000 cedis a week? Easily that's somebody's monthly salary, if not 2 months' salary. So they don't have an incentive to just stop because they don't have a job. That's not true. They are destroying farms that created jobs, that created livelihoods, that sustained life responsibly to do this. And now they are telling His Excellency the President that he hasn't got the right, or he's not going to be allowed to access parts of the country. Your Excellency, your authority is being brought into question. Your mandates as the absolute custodian and exerciser of the authority around of the borders of Ghana is being brought into question. You now are a president minus that place. You are now a president minus places like dollar power. So you are not even the president fully of Ghana anymore. Ghana needs you. Ghana needs you to defend its territories. Ghana needs you to defend the future of its children. This cannot be allowed to stand. It must be dealt with the ruthlessness required. We recommended to His Excellency the President a state of emergency to give him the powers as he would desire or as he would believe he requires. But he never did. Our understanding is that he knows things better than us because he has more security information than us. But this is what we are seeing. The guns are saying,
First time we are seeing armed men chase out officials of the government.
How?
Yes.
How? And look, I must celebrate Nanama. I must celebrate her. Amongst government, she who are the ones who give us practically the most hope. Honestly, what she's been daring to say, even saying things contrary to government central position. She's been speaking and working as a professional, and I respect the president for respecting her position. Nanama, don't stop. Posterity will judge you right.
Indeed.
Look at this young woman, our mates. She's out there putting her life.
Indeed.
Her family's life at risk.
Senor, we've seen similar attacks also on Hannah Bissio in the past. We've seen similar attacks on police personnel also in the past. What should be the response from government after this attack?
Kemini, we can't behave like we are a stateless state. We can't behave as if we are some banana republic. We are not. Our president, by this morning, they're asking at that place that in any media stock. Because what is at risk is the state itself. If I'm president of Ghana, Ghana is at risk, and you want me to be sleeping? Who are saying that as president, John Mahama cannot even access places? That when he sends his soldiers and he sends his EPA boss herself, not one of the officers or directors, there's his EPA boss herself is the OBA of Surono. Then what do you want to fear? Soldier we are not scared of soldiers anymore. We never respect them anymore. We should know that we are plunging this country step by step into chaos. We are losing the country piece by piece. And it needs ruthlessness. It needs absolute power. It needs a certain kind of force to rearrange the thinking of the people there. When people are seeing 3,000 and 10,000 cities a week, you can never make sense to them. GSS graduates are making 3,000 to 10,000 cities a week. You can't make sense to them. You can only force them to start doing what is right. So stop trying to manage this thing with kids' gloves. You're not a president who is running for re-election. I was really proud of what he did this week. When he went out there, he made sure that this man was the MP who interfered with the 9 months operation was arraigned before court. Can you imagine? Colonel Bua heading what the president suggests to us is the most important mission in the interest of this state. He himself was practically mobbed. He says that his life was saved and he was dead by grace. That's what a soldier is saying. Meaning his mandate, his power, his people could not even stand the heat there. Because people are rising against the state. And we are here having a conversation. We shouldn't be having a conversation, Kemini. We should be taking action.
Very well, Senor.
That place, the chief, everybody there. Oh God. I don't know, John Mama. This father for all business, you don't do father for nonsense. It's not. This is not part. This one is not part. You are losing this country.
Senor, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Senor Hosi is a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Now, let's head to the western region, where the Blue Water Guards in the Prestia-Huni Valley municipality have intensified their clampdown on illegal mining activities that continue to devastate water bodies in the area. In a recent operation along the Mansi River at Inshreso and Bepo, the task force set ablaze 2 Shamfang machines, washing boards, and confiscated several tools used by the illegal miners. The exercise forms part of ongoing efforts to restore and protect river bodies by discouraging mining operations within and along the river. Here's a report by Stephen Kujo.
A routine inspection on the Mansi River by the Blue Water Guards uncovered more than 10 illegal miners actively dredging the river at Esreso. The illegal miners, upon spotting the guards, turned hostile and began pelting stones at them. They were, however, overpowered and fled into the nearby forest, leaving behind a chamfine mounted on a moving platform. The machine was set ablaze with some part dumped into the river. Following a tip-off, the team proceeded to Bepo, where more illegal miners were found operating. The guard dispersed the miners and destroyed another chamfine machine. Although no arrests were made, the team leader, Alana Champon, described the operation as successful, noting that critical mining equipment had been neutralized.
Because River Guards, we had a tip of this morning that some guys were mining on the Mansi River at Bepo. They fled as soon as they saw us. So we were able to confiscate their machine and set it ablaze. Several years we have been telling people not to mine on the river. They will not relax until they stop mining on the river. We keep burning their machines and be warning them to desist from mining on the river.
The Mansi River, once a vital source of clean drinking water and also used for irrigation purposes for communities like Jabin, Bogoso, Esresu, and other adjoining communities, has now become heavily polluted due to persistent illegal mining activities. However, the Blue Water Guard have vowed to intensify patrols and enforcement along the major rivers in the municipality to protect water quality and preserve livelihood. Stephen Kujo, TV3 News, Pristia.
Stephen Kujo with that report. We're staying on matters relating to the fight against Galamsey because the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has reiterated its commitment to protecting our lands and water bodies. This comes after the Environmental Protection Agency was attacked by illegal miners at Obuasi, leading to a head-on collision and injury of a number of journalists and officials. Story we've been bringing to you. And the ministry says it remains resolute and will deal with the matter at hand, describing the incident as unfortunate. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been speaking on the recent Galamsey fight. My colleague Judith Brown is at the event. We're crossing over to her right now for details. Judith, two incidents, one from over the weekend, Shidiem, and then yesterday as well, around the Obuasi to the Dunkwan area. What has the ministry been saying is the response to all of this? Because there are some who say the fight against Galamsey is all but lost.
Right, and so Mawuena, as you rightly said, two incidents, especially one at Shidiem. Now, they narrated really what happened at Shidiem, and they said that the NIMOS team on one of its routine checks spotted illegal miners at a particular site in Shidiem, and then when these illegal miners saw them, they immediately bolted, and so they had to quickly move into the site. When they got there, they were able to accost just one Burkina Bay illegal miner. They further went to the town itself, that Shidiem, to try and get others, and they were able to accost two others. Now, following this, those town folk at Shidiem were quite angry. They wanted these illegal miners to be released, and so they mobilized themselves and attacked the NIMOS team. There were so many that the NIMOS team had to call for reinforcement, and that was a very difficult situation for them. They were later able to flee to another side of town, but even so, they were able to flee with the vehicle of the Zongo chief at Shidiem at the time. And so their vehicle, that's the NIMOS team's vehicle, had already been vandalized by the town folk. Now, this is the issue that happened basically at Shidiem and has caused a lot of issues. We raised questions basically as to why the military is being attacked, and we are not seeing probably any counterattacks or any way the ministry as well as the military is trying to handle this matter. The ministry said the minister had reported the matter, of course, to the Speaker of Parliament, who had also condemned the issue. The minister also condemned the issue. They say they are still fighting, but questions are being raised really as to what is going to happen in terms of the fight against illegal mining if the military, which is our last resort, is also being attacked. Well, for now, the ministry says it doesn't have the go-ahead to sort of injure or attack or probably shoot these illegal miners, but it looks like with what is going on and the attacks coming on the military now, even with what happened with the EPA yesterday, that caused the head-on collision involving the injury of some of the journalists as well as officials, they might be looking at also counter-attacking in the coming days, Mawuena.
And Judith, just talk to us about that Shidiem incident, because we know it's been some days. Did they provide an update as to whether or not the progress of investigations has moved on? Because we understand the CID has taken charge, and as well the Interior Ministry and the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry had been engaging over the next ways forward.
Right, and so we have one official here with me right now. He's going to be joining me and giving us that update on really what happened with the NIMOS team and what the update is as to really what happened at Shidiem. We know the NIMOS team was attacked at Hridium. We want to know really what the update is. First, your name and your designation.
I'm Emmanuel Kwame Nenyima. Everyone calls me Elembele Kiki, Deputy CEO, Minerals Commission, in charge of support services. You were here when we had a press conference, and like you rightly said, the military are very poised. They are not disturbed. When I was coming, I visited their secretariat. I was with the operations director, that is Kenobwa, and I saw his men. They are charged, and they are going all out to make sure that they correct this wrong. Like you know, the military is not a task force. This is a secretariat that combines the military, the police, the national security, the other security agencies. So this is not a task force that's do a lot of surgical operations. Basically, they've been trained by the Minerals Commission. We are with them. We train them on what mining is. Those who have licenses, they know what the MCAS is. The MCAS is a system that's created by the Minerals Commission. So if you have a concession, you're on the MCAS. So once they get to your site, when they go to the MCAS, they can identify whether or not that you are licensed to do the mining. So once you are not licensed to do the mining, it means you are doing illegal mining. That is where they come in. They go to the community to go and talk to the community, have a community engagement with the people, what mining is all about. So the fact that they did not react in that action doesn't mean the military is disturbed. No, it's a specialized unit. So we must mine, but we have to mine responsibly.
So they are not clothed with the powers to prosecute or anything.
That is why when they made the arrest, they directed the arrest to the police. Anytime the military, they make arrests at any site or at any concession, they direct that arrest to the police. Then the police will do the prosecution with Attorney General.
So what is the latest? It has been directed to the police now. What's the latest in terms of the Attorney General and all that?
If you remember, the police investigative department has taken over the investigations. So once they are doing investigations, let's wait for the investigations to be completed. Then we can know where we are heading towards. Okay.
Right. And so, as you rightly heard, Mawuena, investigations are being done currently. It has been handed over to the police because the NIMOS team do not have the clothes. They are not clothed with the power to prosecute, and so investigations are still being done on this particular issue at Hridium. But we have to also know really what is going to happen with other issues and moving forward in the fight against Galamsey generally.
That's my colleague Judith Brown with details there for us from that press conference by the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. And there are many of you who are raising concerns about the response from the government. Some who have spoken made the argument quite strongly that the last two attacks as witness is a cause for serious concern. We'll continue to put these before government officials and get responses for you if you stay with us here on News Central. But we can move away from this because Ghana will soon receive its presidential jets, the Falcon 900EX, following an update from the Deputy Minister that major maintenance work on the aircraft are advanced. Ernest Bridget Jemfi told Parliament that the reported corrosion spot detected in the jet and other defects have been repaired. He says the aircraft will return to Ghana after all tests, including a leak test of the fuel tanks, third engine ground run and acceptance flight are conducted.
The Falcon 900 executive aircraft was ferried to Dassault Falcon services in Le Bourget, France on Tuesday, 11th March 2025 for the 24 monthly and 1,600 flying hours periodic inspection. This inspection is a mandatory airworthiness requirement that ensures that the main maintenance tasks and due list tasks compiled for the 24 monthly inspections have been completed and functional checks have successfully carried out. Mr. Speaker, also the reported corrosion spots detected within the aircraft fuel tanks which affected the aircraft's delivery date, have undergone extensive repairs. These corrosion issues in the fuel tanks have since been resolved. However, in the course of the inspection, fuel leakages were observed from the right-hand wing tank. Unfortunately, after successfully repairing the section of the wing that experienced the leakages, other challenge was encountered while reinstalling the lower panel beneath the wing.
Well, we know that in the aftermath of this, the MP for West, Peter Lanchene-Tobu, has ignited calls for the purchase of a new presidential jet. He's put up a post on Facebook. Let's just run you through it before we connect with some other experts in the field. He says that the Honorable Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, the dollar respects you, so buying a new presidential jet should be in the front burner, blend safety and security with economics. And that's Peter Lanchene-Tobu, is a West member of parliament there. Let's go right now onto phone and speak to Peter Lanchene-Tobu, who's joined us via the phone. Honorable, I appreciate you. At a time like this, when the belt has still been tightened for a lot of individuals and even for the government, because expenditure cuts have come through and you are seeking to manage the economy prudently, if the jet is returning, why make a case for a new one?
Cherished viewers and listenership, the essence of a presidential jet to a nation like Ghana cannot and never be underrated. We are so much particular about the safety and security of His Excellency, the President of Ghana. We are concerned about the operational flexibility and efficiency in getting a new aircraft.
Right.
There is something very important that probably we've forgotten. There is something I call aviation diplomacy. All these things are missing. And the last but not the least is the national image. All these are missing in an era where we have the presidential jet at maintenance for more than from March up to date. When your vehicle goes for maintenance, it takes a long time with the engineers. Nobody should tell you that there are challenges. In the past, the Gulfstream was a backup for Fokker 28. When the Gulfstream was becoming weaker, it was discarded. The Fokker 28 became a backup to Falcon 900. Now the Fokker 28 has been grounded. The only jet we have is Falcon 900, and that one is also found in the workshop. The president is here without any reliable aircraft. Are we progressing as a nation? When we talk about priorities, the amount of money we sunk in projects that cannot benefit Ghana, if we calculate that, nobody should be thinking about the fact that the cost is so huge. You can't compare the cost of an aircraft to the insecurity related to the president. So for me, I think that the time is now that the dollar is becoming weaker and the city is stronger. Anything that is priced in dollar can easily be bought. And I want the Honorable Finance Minister to look at the possibility of getting money to buy a new presidential jet so that even if this one comes, it can be a backup to the new one.
25 years is the lifespan that we're expecting this Falcon to have lived, in excess of 25 years, in fact, because when you speak to the aviation experts, they say there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Falcon as we have it. All we have to ensure is that maintenance is top-notch. It has undergone very extensive maintenance and is expected to return. Some would say wait it out and let us ride out what has been an economic storm, and then perhaps after that we begin preparations to get a new jet.
The truth of the matter is that if you even begin the process of getting a new jet now, I'm quite sure His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama will not use that jet. It takes some time to procure a new jet. Let's begin now and think of a new jet and pray that this one comes back fit for purpose, and gradually we should be able to go back to history where we had 2 aircraft for the presidency, or at least representing the presidency, so that if one goes and there's a problem, you can send another flight to rescue the president. But where we are now as a nation, I think that if we are missing on the issue of aviation diplomacy, it's very dangerous for our economic development. The president can actually fly with somebody for 6 hours and have a meeting, discuss issues that are of interest to this country without going to anybody's hotel or going to anybody's room. And this is an aircraft that we designed, we've recommended the design to fit our purpose. So I am saying that let's begin the process now, and maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, we can have a new aircraft to be the one that will be the lead aircraft, with this one that is under maintenance come as a backup.
Honorable, let's leave it here. I appreciate you speaking to us. That's Peter Lanchene Tobu. Let's interrogate this issue a bit further and speak to Wing Commander Patrick Nelson Sogojo for a bit more. Wing Commander, I appreciate you joining us, and thank you as well for your patience and for holding the line for us. Would you back this call by the Member of Parliament that let's begin the process now, and in 2 years' time, we're going to have a new bird in the air?
Well, thank you for your viewers. If the economy can afford it, yes. But let me try to explain how aircraft operate.
Wing Commander, it's like you're watching what's happening. If you could just concentrate with just me and you and have this conversation. You said you wanted to explain to us briefly how aircraft operates and their lifespan amongst many others. Kindly proceed and then make that point for us.
Okay. If you look at the civil airplanes which fly up and down, which all of us have done, some of them are about 30, 40, 50 years. If the aircraft is manufactured, the fuselage has a lifespan. The engines which fly the airplanes have mandatory checks to be done. Some of the checks can be done here locally. But when you get to a place like Check 5, the airplanes will be flown to manufacturers who will strip it down, x-ray all the components. So the aircraft 25 is not old. It's perfectly good order. What happens is that an airplane should be airworthy. Pilots will not fly it when they are red marks, but they don't want to go on that. So the manufacturer also makes sure that they examine every component. Some of the components you can't see them with your eyes. You have to use X-ray. And I believe since the plane was flown to manufacturers, if they serviced it and is airworthy, the plane will come back to Ghana. It is not the age of the aircraft. It's the flying hours which an aircraft has, which is more important. We have checked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one is checked before the airplane takes off, because you can't really call a mechanic in the air to come and fix it.
Absolutely.
So before the pilot takes off, the aircraft must be airworthy. So we must have patience and let the also complete this work and the plane to return. But it's not by age, it's by flying hours, which is more important.
And so if we put this in proper context with all of the economic issues we've had to deal with and the fact that we're on a path of recovery, we can wait this out whilst we ensure proper maintenance is done always and the aircraft is worthy to be in the air.
Certainly so. I mean, if you go to US Air Force One, some of them are about 40 years old, but they have a fleet because they can afford it. You go to Nigeria, they have a couple of times. When you come to Ghana, how often does the president travel? An economic situation. But if you can afford it, bring it. The Air Force will fly. But the plane must be airworthy from the manufacturers before they will take it up. So we should be patient.
Wing Commander, I appreciate you and for your time as well this afternoon. That's Wing Commander retired Patrick Sogojo speaking to us this afternoon. He'll take us on to our very first break here on the Bulletin. When we return, we have a bit more for you if you stay with us on News Central.
Welcome back. Now, President John Dramani Mahama, on behalf of government, has donated relief items to Jamaica and Cuba, who were recently affected by Hurricane Melissa. The president has also extended government's humanitarian gesture to war-torn Sudan to aid in relief efforts. Speaking at a ceremony at the Jubilee House to donate the items worth 10 million cedis, the president urged other African countries to show sympathy to the three countries.
It has a tradition of solidarity and compassion. And so in addition to what he referred to with Guinea and Congo, we also extended assistance to Japan by shipping cocoa products to Japan when they had the tsunami at that time. And so there's another gesture. 3 countries are going to benefit: Jamaica, which is the hardest hit, and then Cuba, but also our colleagues in Sudan. Sudan is virtually becoming the forgotten war. Because of Ukraine and Gaza, it looks like the world's attention has shifted there. And so some of the atrocities, the genocide, and the humanitarian suffering that is taking place in Sudan is not something that belongs to the 21st century. And so we all witnessed recently Al-Fashir, when the RSF went in there. A lot of people were killed, a lot of people were displaced, and those people are in camps that are being run by the Red Cross. And so even though Ghana's contribution would not resolve the humanitarian suffering that is going on, we believe that if every country contributes its quota, we can help to alleviate, what is happening in these places. These humanitarian items are worth about 10 million Ghana cedis.
Let's talk about Farmers' Day, because it may not come off this year, as some farmer groups are threatening to boycott the celebration. This, they say, is in response to government's inability to absorb the excess supply of grains and sold despite its repeated promises of intervention. Nura Mohammed's report investigates if this food glut has had an impact on the prices of these grains in our markets.
If you were a farmer in the north with bumper harvests for the past 2 years due to favorable weather conditions and some free farming materials from the government, would you not be beside yourself with joy? Well, some farmers do not share the same sentiment, and here's the reason why. After every harvest season, peasant farmers cannot wait to settle their debtors, pay their workers, and cater for their families through proceeds from the sale of their crops. The advent of the grain glut this year, where the supply for food crops such as maize and rice are in excess, with over 1.3 million metric tons of paddy rice and over 100,000 tons of maize over the demand for them, has led to an outcry by farmers across the country. They believe the government is not doing enough to mop up the glut and have therefore threatened to boycott this year's Farmers' Day celebrations. But George Abradu Otu, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, does not agree with their decision.
This strike matter, I think, at this time is not necessary because we're already in the field. As I said, for the first time in so many years, this is the first time they are giving us money to move into the system and help the farmers by mopping up to the excess produce. And we are on the field. We are doing it. It takes that the roads are bad, distances are few and far between and all that. So we are on the field. So I just assure the farmers to exercise a bit of patience. Very soon we'll come to their areas and then to mop up the excess produce.
To decipher if this food glut has had any impact on the prices of some food commodities, we took to the markets.
Some rice, maize and yam farmers have complained that they are losing money as a result of a drastic reduction in the patronage of their food items. And this has led to a food glut. Now, ordinarily, this food glut should have resulted in a reduction of the prices of these food items. And so we are here at the Medina markets to ask some traders and market women if the prices have changed or if they remain the same.
Say dwanu ofam nanso ebro no bi wo ho a se ebro foforo aba no wokoto a ne kuafo ni bi de dia enwo ye no egu mfimfini.
Market is not good at the moment. When you go to buy maize, the farmers put the wet and bad grains at the bottom and cover it with the good grains. Our food vendor clients don't buy from us any longer as a result.
Local rice and any foreign ones.
The local rice is more expensive compared to the foreign ones, and so we buy the foreign ones instead, since that's what most of our customers prefer. Government should help farmers with more fertilizers and labor costs so they can reduce their prices.
Still here with us on News Central. Another break. When we return, we do some spot checks in the regions for you.
Now, the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly is seeking legal action at the Tamale High Court against the Lands Commission, a private individual, Comfort Boache Amwako and Roxham Global Limited, over the allocation, leasing and registration of portions of lands known as old markets within the Tamale Metropolitan area. The Assembly in the suit is praying the court to injunct the defendants from further delaying with allocating, leasing and registering the land. The Assembly is also seeking the cancellation of land allocations made without its consent and in breach of statutory planning and development procedures. Let's connect now with our correspondent, Christopher Amwako, who's joined us from Tamale now. Christopher, what's the background here?
Yes, so according to the Tamale Metro Assembly, some of its lands within the old market center have been leased out to some private developers. And so they have taken the matter to court and praying the court to, first of all, prevent the first defendant, that is the Lands Commission, from further leasing or registering lands within that area to private developers. Now, the second issue has to do with the fact that they want the court to injunct any development that has already taken place or will be taking place on that land If not, the assembly will be compelled to put stop work order on these properties that have already been developed on that particular land. According to the assembly, these lands, if developed, will temper with the development of the Tamale metropolitan area when it comes to spatial development and planning within the Tamale metropolitan area. And so this matter was filed on the 5th of this month. And when I visited the Land Commission office earlier today, I was told that they were yet to receive any summons. And if they do, they have 8 days, according to the rates submitted to the court by the Tamale Metro Assembly, to respond to these issues. And so anytime they receive the summons, they are ready to respond. And for them, this is issues that they have to look up to their legal department to be able to sort things out so that there won't be any issues. But the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly is bent on decongestion exercises in the city to ensure that adequate planning is put in place for the city to be able to contain any shocks when it comes to fire outbreaks, said that they will be able to penetrate through the markets and to ensure that people who develop on government lands have the necessary documents so that they can do business with the assembly.
Christopher, thank you so much for the reporting. We'll leave it here. Christopher Mwako is our Northern Region correspondent.
To the Eastern region now, and the Kwewu West Municipal Security Council has demolished unapproved structures at Nkoko Central, identified as a hideout for miscreants. Meanwhile, the police have also arrested 17 suspects in a swoop at the same location. The joint action follows a knife stabbing incident over the weekend that resulted in the death of one person.
According to the Municipal Security Council, the operations forms part of efforts to restore law and order and ensure public safety in the Kwewu West municipality of the Eastern region. Over the weekend, an altercation between two youth resulted in a stabbing incident and death of one person, while other unlawful activities continued in the area. A reprisal attack and mob action by the youth gangs at the Holy Family Catholic Hospital and the area was swiftly foiled by a police reinforcement team. The Kwewu West Municipal Security Council chairman, who doubles as the MCE, Tamimu Halidu, led the demolition exercise as an interim measure to clamp down on the rapidly growing ghettos in the municipality. He warned the exercise will continue unabated. Kwewu, we are not here to distract anyone's business. The government is protecting you. Anyone who believes he or she has been wrongly affected should come to the assembly. We strongly believe we have not erred in our operations. We have not demolished any unapproved structures. The exercise is still ongoing, and we are committed to completing it. Some residents had initially resisted the demolition exercise, but the Security Council will not be moved. Suspects arrested are expected to be arraigned before court.
That's it from us this week here on News Central. We're back again next week, God willing, with another brand new exciting edition of News Central. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Kemini Amanor. Thank you so much for your company. Bye-bye.